Welcome to the Empire of Sin, and today's video is all about Frank Ragen in our Boss Spotlight series. Now, while Frank Ragen may not be a boss from historical times, his family, the Ragen cults, were actually a real gang that kicked around in Chicago way back when. Now, it turns out they were actually an Irish outfit, which was news to me, but they ended up joining the syndicate under Al Capone in the later days, which is really interesting. It's nice to see that the Reagan cults were a real deal and in Empire of Sin today. But anyway, let's start talking about our Frank Ragen. So he's actually one of my favourite bosses within this game. We're going to talk about Home Run a little bit later, so let's look at the Empire bonuses. First up, we have brewery production of a plus 5%. Well, everyone knows whiskey is what runs the streets in Empire of Sin, so that's actually pretty good. Speakeasy has an upkeep cost of minus 15%, so if you that can be okay, but for me, really, Empire bonuses aren't really all that here. Diplomatic bonus, we have a threat generation. When your crew size is larger than 6, you generate a minus 20% threat generation. That's actually really good. He's one of the only bosses that actually rewards you for being in a large group of gangsters. So like I said, good points there. Now, before we get into the stats of the character, if you enjoy this video, find it entertaining, or want to see more videos just like this, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. That way you don't miss out on any videos coming up. So the first two stats are combat stats. First up, we have Marksman at 75. It's not great, but it's not terrible. You can kind of use pretty much any gun you want. However, rifles, sniper rifles, you may be struggling a little bit until you get a few kills. Melee is 100. It's the best you can get. So, you know, Frank Ragen is really good for melee. It kind of goes hand in hand with his special ability as well, but again, like I said, we will talk about that later. The next three stats are Intimidation, Leadership, and Persuasion. Now, Intimidation is 72, so that's not too bad. Those three stats are all about your dialogue choices within the game, all about the events. It pops up and you're kind of skill gated. So if you don't have the necessary points, you're not going to be able to choose that dialogue option, or you're not going to be able to as successfully choose that dialogue option. Persuasion is 55. It's very low. You're never going to get it up high enough, unfortunately, to get the real big bucks in a couple of the events that come up. So for me, that's a real minus there. Initiative as well is only 61. That's terrible. Along with his movement, which is 6, other bosses have 7, but he does have a defense bonus of 5. Now we're into traits. Now traits, he comes up short yet again, unfortunately. He does have one trait, which is thick-skinned. Gives you a 15% chance to resist a crit. Now, I do ignore the minus 20% chance to have injury, because as far as I know, the bosses cannot get injured. They can't have time off, so it's completely irrelevant. He does also have Intolerant, which is a minus 5% crit damage and chance to crit, meaning when you attack, you're 5% less likely to actually hit the crit. So that's kind of bad, unfortunately. And he has nothing else here which is any good at all. Now we have the perk tree. So he's not a healer either, therefore this perk tree is going to be a little bit different to other ones. You have on tier 2, you have Survivor, which is actually pretty good regardless of the amount of damage you take. You now guaranteed to bleed out instead of die. Now, as the game's got a lot harder over the last few patches, this could be, you know, a real option, as you're not going to be taking Lifeline. The other one is Shattering Impact. Your melee attack now has a 100% chance to destroy a piece of the target's armor. Now, considering you are a melee character, this for me could be a good option. In tier 3, I would pick Run and Gun. Once activated, you can perform a max move action and still perform another action afterwards. That's kind of good. I like having a bit of mobility on the battlefield. Tier 4, the only one really I would pick, although I quite like Rapid Reload, is Revenge. Now, Revenge goes very well with this boss. You automatically perform a counterattack against any character that melee attacks you, meaning you will use your melee weapon on whoever's run up and hit you with a hammer or whatever else they've done. Now, at the moment, the way the game is, a lot of the bosses do actually run up and use melee attacks. Don't ask me why, they just do. And as Frank Ragen is a melee character, it just makes sense for his build. Tier 5, you have a couple of choices. You have Kill Chain, you have Hack and Slash, and you have Meat Hook. Honestly, I would ignore Meat Hook and Hack and Slash and just get Kill Chain because, oh my god, it's so overpowered. Fire a shot at a target. If the target is killed, your turn does not end and you gain 1 AP. Now, I've talked about this in pretty much every single video that has Kill Chain. It's amazing. Just get it. Now, lastly, let's talk about Frank Ragen's boss ability, Batter Up. Now, this is a ridiculously overpowered melee attack. You basically get your baseball bat and you almost one-hit any character. Now, that is early game and mid game. As you get up through the game, obviously the guards get a little bit stronger, they get a little bit more armor, and therefore you're probably not going to one hit them. However, you do a tremendous amount of damage. Also, you have a chance to, if you don't kill the character you're attacking, to knock them out, meaning that character misses a turn. So if you was going to use that on a boss or on an underboss, it becomes extremely useful. Now, unfortunately, this is kind of nowadays Frank Ragen's one of his only good things about the character. He's been nerfed kind of a lot in my eyes. Since the beginning of this game, I would have ranked him up there amongst the top 3 bosses in the game. But now, because things have changed a little bit, boss abilities have been nerfed here and there, and different things have become important, he's no longer right up there. But his ability is very good. It only has a 4 kill recharge. And I think a 4 kill charge is kind of fair. Obviously, we've got Daniel McGee Jackson, who takes 10 kills to recharge his ability. Obviously, your ability is only targeting 1 character. But if you use it right and use it well, I seem to find that it's still an absolutely awesome ability and goes really well with Frank Ragen as well. So that's it, guys. That is Frank Ragen. If you've enjoyed this video and want to see more boss spotlight videos, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. That way you don't miss out on the next episode. And of course, comment your thoughts. Who's your favorite boss currently in Empire of Sin? Like I said, for me, Frank Ragen is absolutely one of my favorite bosses. Other than that, probably Daniel McGee Jackson. But let me know yours. Be very interested to find out. And I will see you in the next video real soon. Take it easy.